Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel Tech Exercise and Google Cloud Platform tutorial series. Today I'm going to talk about different types of tables available in BigQuery. So if you haven't watched my previous video where I covered BigQuery overview, architecture of BigQuery, hands-on scripting and performance tuning, please go and check those out first. Now let's quickly get started. So what are the different types of tables we have in BigQuery? There are two major types of tables we have: standard table, also known as native tables. Second one is external tables. So what is the difference in between these two? In standard tables, metadata and data both get stored in BigQuery itself. So we create the table first and then we insert a data into it or load the data into it. So those are standard or native tables. External tables, we create the metadata into the BigQuery, but we store the actual data in some other location. It could be cloud storage or it could be any other location. So what are the different types of external tables we have? There are four different types of external table we have. First one is non-BigLake external tables. So what happens in non-BigLake external tables? In non-BigLake external tables, we create the metadata into the BigQuery and we reference the location of the data which is residing in cloud storage, right? We'll see the detailed description after a while. This is non-BigLake tables. In order to grant permission to any user, we have to grant permission to both the end, BigQuery as well as cloud storage. Second one is BigLake external tables. What happens in BigLake external tables? It also behaves in the same fashion how non-BigLake table works, except we need not to grant permission to both the end to allow any user to access the data. So we only have to grant permission to the BigQuery. It is connected via a connection which I'll show you a demo after a while. Third one is BigQuery Omni allow you to connect with different cloud providers. It could be Amazon S3 or it could be Azure Blob Storage. You can perform the join the different cloud providers and access or analyze the data. The last one is object tables. Object tables are read-only tables which allow you to analyze unstructured data residing in cloud storage. So that's how BigQuery segregate different types of tables. Now we'll see how native tables or standard table works versus how external table works. And then we will jump into the difference, how non-BigLake versus BigLake table works. I have a sample create table statement with me. I'll just quickly run this to create a table and that's all. I could see my table got created, employees table. Quickly I will insert 4 records into this table and that's it. It got completed. Now I'll open the employees table and I'll go to the details tab. If you could see the table info, here we have the stats as in table ID, when it got created or modified, and the expiration details along with the location and everything. Along with that we have storage information. So we have number of rows present into the table. So it has both metadata as well as the actual data. Now when we create external table, that time what happens? This is the sample script I do have with me. I'll try to create one external table. This is the syntax. If you see, we used to provide one URI where we reference our actual data residing, and if you see, I have a file residing in Google Cloud Storage customer and I'm just referencing to the same location along with the basic parameters like skip leading rows, which is 1, as I have headers in my file, and field delimiter is comma, format is CSV. So I'll quickly create this table and that's all. My external table got created. Now if you see here and go to the details page, we have the table info. We don't have storage info here, rather than we have external data configuration option here. And here you see we have the source URI pointing to the Google Cloud Storage. Format is CSV, field delimiter is comma, skip leading rows is 1. The same parameter which we have defined while creating the table. Now we did not inserted any data into it and we will try and select the data from this table. So let's select star from this table. We'll hit the run button and that's all. We could see the data. Even though we did not inserted any record into my table, we could see the data because of the external table properties. This is called non-BigLake external tables. Now what happens if we want to grant permission to any user to access this data? We have to grant them permission to this table and to this GCS storage where actual data resides. Then that user can access the data. Now talking about the second one, external table. What happens to the external table? So in order to create external table, first of all we need a connection. So let's create a connection. Add data. We'll search for Vertex AI. We'll open this Vertex AI models, BigQuery Federation. In connection type, you should be choosing Vertex AI remote models, remote function, and BigLake cloud storage. Connection ID, we can create any sort of connection. Let's say my first con. Location type is region, as I don't want to replicate this. Friendly name I don't want, description also I don't want. I'll just hit the create button, and that's all. If you could see under your project, you are having one external connection, and this is the connection which we created. So it is project level connection. You only have to create once for the entire project. You need not to create multiple times, and it can be used for that project. Now what happens when we create BigLake tables? So this is my BigQuery external table create statement. If you could see, this is identical to create non-BigLake external tables except one line where we have the connection definition. Rest everything is same. We define the URI, format of the CSV file, parameters, skip leading rows, any other parameter also you can add. There are ample of parameters available. Based on your requirement, you can use them. But except this line, everything else is same. So I just changed the table name as BigLake, and I have defined the connection which we recently created, US East 1, my first connection. And now we will create this table. We get an error as permission denied. Now one more thing to learn here. First of all, we have to grant permission. So when we create a connection, we have one service account available in the connection, and this service account should be having permission to the cloud storage. It can be done one at a time. You can make this service account as data owner level permission to the project level. So what we'll do, we'll go to the permission, we'll add grant, we'll add permission to this storage object admin. We'll grant storage object admin permission. Now we have granted permission to this service account which is created on project level connection. Again, we will go and try to create the table, and we'll see how it behaves. And that's all. We could see the table got created. Now we will try to select the data from this table first. Select star from this table, BigLake, and that's all. We could see the data. Now the major difference in between this BigLake and non-BigLake tables. In BigLake tables, since connection to the cloud storage is handled by the external connection which we created at the project level, we need not to grant any user to permission to the storage level. We can only grant permission to the BigQuery level, and they should be able to access the data. But in non-BigLake tables, we have to grant permission to the user to both BigQuery and cloud storage level. That's the major difference. That's how you can utilize this based on the requirement you have in your organization or for personal use. And that's all from my side today, guys. So if you haven't subscribed my video, please do like, comment, and subscribe, and stay tuned for the upcoming videos. I'm going to create so many videos for you, and you can get a good hands-on experience watching all these videos. Thank you.